Grow Great is a city government leadership podcast with Lisa Norris and me, Randy Cantrell. Each week we share insights, experiences, and wisdom to help you and your leadership grow great. Our website is growgreat.com.
Randy, we've talked about for years now, can you believe it, in this podcast, years, that leadership is about serving others. We're coming to the end of 2023, about to enter a new year in this particular episode. We're going to take a couple weeks off for the holidays to be with our families and move into 2024. I cannot believe it. But as we talk about, our focus on leadership is a focus on others, doing for others what they cannot do for themselves. As you look at that, I thought we'd kind of just have a brief conversation to wrap up. I found this quote that absolutely supports that. Leadership has nothing to do with your social status, your bank account, or where you reside. Leadership is about inspiring and building confidence in people to perform at heights they never imagined, lifting them up and doing things that they did not probably even deem as possible. They may not have ever seen it. They may not have realized that was the trajectory they're on or were not on. But what you say and do and how you treat people can be a huge impact and influence in their lives. You and I have both seen it. We've lived it, and we've had that same experience with those who impacted us. As we move into the end of this year and new year, I just encourage all of our listeners to really make sure you're looking at your people. You're not trying to make them you. You're making them the best they can be in their way, in their style, and influencing change where it needs to be to make them a better leader. That's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit their people. And it's going to benefit the organization as a whole. It's strengthening and shoring up our leaders to truly develop them and make them the best they can be with programs, with influence, with people that you surround them with. And I always, Randy, we talked about when you influence, remember your impact can be up, down, and out. You can influence your peers just as much as you can influence those that report to you. And at times we can also help and support and encourage and grow those above us.
I think one of the difficulties of leadership for many people, and we can, come on, we're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we can kind of use the Texas Rangers, who finally, at long last, win a World Series. And they asked the manager, Bruce Bochy, here's this old grizzled veteran, and I don't think he was being self-deprecating, because I've paid close attention to this guy, and I'm not a baseball guy at all. But I paid close attention to him, and I went back and did some digging, and this just appears to me, I don't know him personally, but it appears to be just kind of who he is. But he talked about the players on the field. He's not playing. He didn't make a pitch. He didn't swing at a ball. He didn't make a catch. He didn't throw anybody out. That wasn't his role. And yet the players, I think to a man, would say that without him, they couldn't have done on the field what they did. So it brings up, I think, a big point. We can get fixated on our own performance and what we're doing, our work product, if you please.
Mm-hmm.
Or
our
we
task
can be,
list.
Yeah, or we can be like Bruce Bochy, and we can say, we want to put these players, these people, in the best position possible so that they can do their very best. And if we can do that, then we've done a huge work. And it looks different than our personal output. Bruce Bochy has no batting average. He has no ERA. He has no records except for when he played for runs batted in. But the team does. And every player has got some stats associated with their performance. And so what could he do for them that previous management could not do? It's probably a long list, and it's over my head as far as being a non-baseball guy. But it's clear to me he did it. He did it. This was a team that was incredibly resilient, comeback after comeback, and got in slumps, got out of slumps. And so if you think about your leadership in those terms, instead of thinking about what can I do with my personal output, and it's especially true, I have found, in city government, because so many times we are subject matter experts. You came out of HR. You take somebody like Cheryl, your boss, so she comes out of finance. Bill, he comes out of another specific housing, another specific area. And that's all great and wonderful. But now these roles are very different. They are much broader. And now, you're at a higher altitude where you can influence and impact more people. And it's way less about your work as far as your own output. It's about how can you generate higher output through the work of other people? How can you help them get their work done? And as your quote says, perform at heights maybe they never imagined.
Mm-hmm.
I would add, you've probably got some people who are imagining it. You've got some people who do have some high aspirations. You had high aspirations. I'm not saying that every director aspires to what you aspired to, but you did. And Bill had aspirations to be a city manager, and he is. And but it's still that belief in people. It's still that helping people understand that they matter and making sure that we do our part as their leaders to put them in a position so that they can matter even more.
Well, you talk about that with the Rangers coach, and I sure wish I could remember the specific stat, but I can give you the context. Because Don and I actually talked about it when it popped up. I'm not a big stat person, because they're just statistical, and that doesn't mean they will happen or won't happen. It's just a number, in my opinion. But I remember them when we were playing the Astros, and that was a rough, high intense series. And there was something, I don't remember if it was game 4, if it was we were down how many games? 2 games? 3 games? I don't remember what it was, but we were down in that series,
we were behind.
And it wasn't looking good.
Right.
And I remember this stat coming up on the screen, and it seems like it was game 4, that says our coach, what was his last name again? Because I'm not good at the names. Bochy. Okay. It said,
well, he had never lost a game 7.
Okay. But there was something mid-series that said his record in winning after this point, like after game 4, was like he never lost. It was like 7-0.
Right.
And the Astros coach, it was like 1-8. Like he always loses.
He struggled. Yeah.
He struggles. And, when we were talking about that, I said, well, that's an interesting stat, because it was not looking good. I just specifically remember it was not looking good for the Rangers. And Don and I were like, I don't know if we can pull this out.
Right.
And I remember him walking out to the mound, talking to the pitcher after the stat came up, and the pitcher hands him the ball and walks off the field. And he started bringing in these pitchers, and the Astros could not. They were spinning in circles, falling down to the ground, and he just kept changing out pitchers.
Yeah.
Over the rest of the series.
Right.
And the other coach was trying to change out pitchers, and they was falling into our hands.
Yeah.
We were going off.
Right.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And I honestly kept going back. I was like, that statistic was right. He knows how to pull it out. He knows how to use his players to the most effective they can be in a specific moment. Whether I remember when all my kids played softball or baseball, and I remember Don as the coach, man, he'd study. He knew those. He could see the other batter, and instantly know, okay, time. We're bringing in so and so. They aren't going to be able to hit a fastball. They aren't going to be able to hit her riser. They aren't going to be. He would play to the other team's weakness. And he could see it. And I know, there's a lot of coaches that maybe just can't see it.
It's because
they go with what's tried and true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They go with, this is our playbook. We're going to always play this. And fifth, we're going to always have this pitcher.
Right.
Don didn't do that. Don would look at the team and go, oh no, this team is all fastballs. We're bringing in our slow and steadies, the ones that just barely get it over the plate.
Right.
You know,
Right.
just
Completely
get it over the
throw
plate.
off their timing. Yeah.
Lucas, just throw your little ball, just get it over home plate.
Arch it over home plate. Well, but he knew his players.
That's right. And he
we
knew
have
the
to-
other
we have to
team's
know our
weakness.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we're talking about, these goals and our leadership, know your people, know what they need to accomplish, know what they need to grow in, and set goals not only for your organization as a whole. Don't lose sight of your people in setting goals with them. And that great time to have a one-on-one. I'm working on those as we speak for director level, which was I had to really explore and read a lot about, and I've got 27 years of industry knowledge, but I haven't led other directors before. And I want to make the one-on-ones powerful for them. So that's a goal for me I'd like to have in 2024 as we wrap up this year, to continue what we preach, which is serving others and a focus on others.
Yeah, I completely, agree with the quote. It doesn't have, Lisa and I have made a distinction between being a leader who doesn't have authority and a leader who does. And it certainly is helpful if you're a leader who is the boss. There's no question about that. That has huge benefits, because you can get stuff out of people's way that you just can't if you're not the boss. It doesn't mean that your leadership is necessarily diminished, though. So whatever your role, the best way to prepare for a leadership where you are a leader with authority is to be a great leader without it. So the more that we can, the bottom line for me is the more that we can invest in other people, the better our own work seems to go. My work as an executive coach for the last 13 years or so is purely judged by the output of my clients. I'm not doing anything. Mm-hmm. The clients are doing the work. I'm just trying to help them figure it out. So their success is my success. That is a little bit of a microcosm of leadership. I'm not doing anything, and yet I'm doing an awful lot, but it's not my work. I'm just trying to.
We have to choose to act upon it.
Yeah, I'm trying to facilitate helping them do their work, and that benefits them, and that's the most benefit that I can bring to myself too.
Well, you know what I love most about the quote, and I would tell everybody, and it's very similar to what you said, just in a different way. Leadership has nothing to do with your social status, your bank account, or where you reside. First half of this quote, it's all about you. Leadership is not about us and what we bring to the table for them. In other words, it's not touting what I have and what I can do. Leadership is about inspiring, building confidence in people to perform at heights they never imagined. So you see that shift. It's not about you and what you have and what you're bringing and what the accomplishments you've had. It's a focus on others. It's a focus on bringing out the very best in them and things that they may have never seen possible. Focus on others and serve them well.
Thanks for watching and listening to Grow Great, a city government leadership podcast. For Lisa Norris, I'm Randy Cantrell. Be well, do good, grow great. The website is growgreat.com.